Hey everybody, welcome to the Seasoned Butcher. Man, can you believe fall's coming fast? I know some states like Florida, we have a couple buddies down there, they're already shooting deer. They're already making it happen. Well, up here in Wisconsin, where Jim and I are from, we still got about 6 weeks to go or so before we actually get to fly some arrows. Not only are we getting our trail cameras out, shooting our bows, getting all of our equipment set up, practicing shooting out of them ground blinds so you're comfortable when the time comes, but we need something to eat when you're out there in the field. So what we like to do, and we're about 6 weeks out, is today we're going to make some summer sausage. Now, I want to go over right here in the beginning what you're going to need through this video to make this happen, to make this summer sausage. So one of the first things, and the most crucial thing, is you're going to need some seasoning. So it doesn't matter. You can go to our website and you can see that we have a variety to pick from. It doesn't matter. Just pick your flavor and you'll be set. Some guys like it spicy, some guys like it mild. So you're going to need your seasoning. The other thing that you're going to need is casings. These are fibrous casings. Again, right on our website, we have a variety of casings. I'll go over that when we get into the stuffing part, but you're going to need casings for this. Now, when to seal up the end of the casings, you can use string, or what we like to use is these hog rings. So you're going to need hog rings and hog ring pliers. Also, you're just going to need a simple measuring cup. You're going to want to be able to measure out your water. And later on, when we get into our seasoning, you're going to see why I like having a bowl and a whisk. So to get started with this summer sausage video, we're going to start with our meat prep. We're going to hop into the very first step here of your meat prep. Now, what we're going to be using today is we're going to be using 12.5 pounds of pork butt and 12.5 pounds of venison. This will make a 25-pound batch. All of our seasonings on our site is to make a 25-pound batch. So that's the ratio for the summer sausage. It's a 50-50 ratio. Now, to get started, what you can see here is our 12.5 pounds of pork is pork butt. And the reason why we use pork butt, and as you see in this meat, it has a good, consistent fat to meat ratio. Now, again, no diss on the guys that use pure fat and these extra trimmings, but I just find time and time again, these are the guys that are having problems with their products not turning out. For some of you novice, first time guys doing this, you want to make a product that is fail safe, just go buy a pork butt. Just do it. It's worth the few extra pennies, nickels or dimes, versus trying to be cheap and have a product that doesn't turn out when you're just getting started into this. So what you're going to do is we're using pork butts. You're going to debone these pork butts and you're going to cut them up. And you see right here, I'm cutting these up in the chunks that are probably 2-inch by 2-inch kind of pieces so they fit down through the throat of the grinder. And also the reason why I cut these up into 2-inch by 2-inch chunks is you're going to find a fatty gland in that pork butt. As you see right here, this fatty gland, all you're going to do is cut that out and you just keep on trucking. Now, with our venison, our 12.5 pounds here, we had that pre-packaged from last year. So here's one of the tips that you guys can use when you're cutting your deer up. Package it in 5 or 6 pounds and vacuum seal it. So it's easy to take out, it's easy to thaw out, and it's already pre-cut. So when you're ready to go to make your meat, you don't have to worry about deboning our one big large chunk. It actually thaws out really, really nice. So now we're going to hop on to the grinding. All right, everybody. If you made it to this part in the video, you must be really intrigued about what we got going on. So before we just get to the grinding, hit that like hit that subscribe button, but also come check us out on Facebook. And just for all you hardcore DIYers, we just launched right here our own clothing line. So come check it out. It's fall, wear a sweatshirt. It's all good. You need something around that campfire. So now to get back to this grinding here, what we're going to use is we're going to use a 12.5 millimeter grinder plate. Now this is going to be a coarse grind. We want little bigger chunks for our first grind. Now, when you go to put your auger together in your grinder, here's a little tip. Use some Pam cooking spray. Use a little lubricant and spray that right up in the inside of where your auger goes, inside this shaft that you see here. And it'll actually help the auger and the meat slide down through and push out to the front of your plate. Now, also, another little trick is if you are doing lots of meat, what I mean by lots of meat, Jim and I today, we're only doing a 30-pound batch. So what I mean by lots of meat is you're a guy that's going to put out 100 pounds, couple 100 pounds, and you're continuously grinding. Put a soft gel cool pack on it. It definitely helps out. It's easy. You can pick them up at the dollar store, have them in your freezer, pull them out, and just lay a gel pack right above where your plate is and stuff on your grinder. And it'll help cool that down and it'll help slide that meat out. So what we're going to do to get started is Jim and I, we're going to run all this meat through this 12.5 millimeter grinder plate. All right, everybody, now we're on to the mixing process. See, I like mixing in between the first and second grind. And it helps when you put your seasoning in between these two grinds to actually help mix it up, because I'm not using a meat mixer. I'm doing this all with my bare hands. So to get started on this, what you're going to do is every packet of seasoning that involves smoking that we have comes with here, right on the back. So what I do before I start putting my seasoning is I take the cure off the back of the package and I mix it in with the recommended how many cups of water goes into your mix. I feel that by mixing it into your water instead of just dumping it into your meat, that I'm more comfortable that my cure thoroughly got spread amongst all the meat that you got in your tub. So to get started here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Elf summer sausage today seasoning, and you can find, there'll be a link down in the description where you can find this, and it'll take you right to our site. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this seasoning and I'm going to, oh, come on, open up. Oh, I guess I didn't cut it open. Is I'm going to spread in half the seasoning, set it off to the side, and I'm going to take half my water. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this all up. And I like taking my hands from the outside, kind of like kneading dough, and pressing it into the middle. So you don't have a bunch of your seasoning sitting in your tub in the outside corners. And after I get this all mixed up, I'm going to repeat the same process. I'll take the rest of my seasoning, sprinkle that in, and I'll take the rest of my water, put that in, and then I'll fully mix this up. And then you'll be ready to go to the second grind. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do the second grind. Now for my second grind, I'm going to be using a 3/8 plate. Or for you millimeter guys, it's the closest thing is a 4.5 millimeter plate. I like my summer sausage just a little whisker coarser than I like my hot dogs. One thing I want to touch on here with this grinding, we change plates and blades a lot depending on what we're going to make. If you watch our last video, the skinless wiener video, we were using a 1/8 inch plate. The main thing is you see all these plates laid out here in blades, is you have one plate and one blade that are a couple. They are married together. You don't have 4 or 5 different plates in one blade. You want one plate and one blade because they'll marry together. And when you see, as the meat comes out through the front of this, it'll actually shear your meat off and not smear and tear. So you'll have a better texture of your product. Also, for you guys that are running big numbers of summer sausage or big numbers of meat, period. You know, you're doing 200-300 pound batches. In between these steps, go throw your extra meat that you're not working on in the fridge to stay cool. That'll help with the second grind. Now, with the second grind here also, lots of people just like to shove the meat right down through the throat and it actually backs up in there. And all it does is sit and spin and it actually smears it and tears it versus cutting. So a nice way to do it is I take a chunk here. It's about the size of an egg or a golf ball, oblong, and I'll just slowly keep on dropping that down through. And as you see here, the meat just keeps on coming out the front. So you have a nice, that's where the texture of your product comes in also. You have a nice meaty texture, not a emulsified mush. So we're gonna spin this out real quick and then we'll head on to stuffing. All right, everybody. Now we're gonna stuff up our summer sausage into the casings. Today, I'm gonna be using a 2.5 by 20 long. These are fibrous casings and they got the ties on here. It doesn't matter what size casing you use. We offer various sizes of casings, but the big thing I like is the tie-ins here. Now, when you're stuffing these, before you stuff them, you're gonna take your casings and you're gonna soak them in water. And there ain't no exact time. Give them 10 minutes maybe or so, just enough so that they're pliable. It helps when you actually start stuffing them. You won't have as many wrinkles in them and it'll actually stuff nice and smooth as you see here on this summer sausage. Now, when we go to stuffing, what you're gonna do is you're gonna open this casing up, slide it all the way onto the horn, and then as you see here, you're gonna kind of just have a feel for it, and you're gonna fill it up and let the casing actually take it off the horn at a nice smooth rate, and you want it so you don't have any wrinkles in it. If it's wrinkly, when you go to smoke it, that's where you're gonna get that wrinkly summer sausages. It's all gonna tighten up. So you want a nice packed in summer sausage. Now when you get to the end here, this is what we're using these hog rings for. As you see here, these are 1/2 inch hog rings and the pliers. You just twist it at the end, slide the end, twist right inside the hog ring, and all you're gonna do is crimp it together and you're done. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna do this to all our summer sausage. So then we're gonna stuff up all of our summer sausage and we're gonna actually leave it sit. We're gonna take all of our stuffed up summer sausage, put it in the refrigerator, and we're gonna let that sit for a good day. The reason why I'm doing that is it gives a chance for the seasonings to actually marry into the meat, so then you have a more flavorful product at the end. So we're gonna wrap up here, get this stuff all cooled down, put back in the fridge, and I'm gonna catch you in about a day or so, and we're gonna go through the smoking process step by step. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today is the fun part. We actually get to smoke what we created. So just to recap just a little bit here, is when we last were with you, what we did is we finished stuffing all of our meat and put it in the refrigerator. Well, Jim and I made this on a Friday, and today is on a Sunday. So we let them seasonings and meat marry inside them casings for a good 2 days before we decided to smoke. Now, on to the smoking process. You're going to see in some of these B-roll photos, I got up, I couldn't sleep, I got up at 3:30 in the morning and I put this summer sausage on. Now, all I'm doing, nice thing with these casings is they hang perfectly off in these dowels, as you can see right here. But I set my smoker at 150 degrees and I let that go for 3 hours. Now, the trick is when you see your meat coming up to about that 100 to 110, depending on your smoker, I like to bump it up again. Even in our step-by-step directions, it tells you to bump it up. So I like to bump it up, and I'm using a Pit Boss. My increments of how my smoker works is a little bit different on each one. You might be using a regular vertical, you might be using a horizontal, you might be using stick, you might be using pellet, you might be using Masterbuilt. So however you can set yours, like my setting, I can bump it up to 175 and I just let it sit there again for about an hour and a half. And then to finish these off, I bump my smoker up to 200 and then I just watch my meat probes. I got 2 meat probes sitting in the bottom of this summer sausage in 2 different locations. So I'm monitoring 2 different locations inside the smoker. So your lowest one, I waited for it to reach 155 degrees. And then we were able to pull this all off, put it in a couple of tubs with ice, and you're going to run some cold water on it. The reason why you're doing that is when it reaches 155 degrees, we want to stop that cooking process as fast as possible. You do not want to overcook your summer sausage, otherwise it's going to dry it out and it could become a little crumbly. Now, as you see here, what we didn't tell you in the beginning is we actually made 2 different batches here. We have 2 different flavors. One is called W summer sausage on our site, and the other one is Elf. Now, the reason why the W and the Elf is they're actually decades of old-time family recipes, and Elf is actually the last name of where the recipe came from. So you're not going to find this recipe just anywheres. Now, as you see here on this cutting board, you can see how these all turned out. Now, the widths is this one here that I got, and the difference in this one versus the Elf is the widths has mustard seed and a little cracked pepper in it. Now, this is a very mild summer sausage. It still has good flavor, but this is very safe for your kids, your wife, anybody that doesn't have a spicy palate. Now, with the Elf, this one's the exact same, except for if they do not like mustard seed and that big coarse black pepper, then this one here doesn't have it in it. Now, with the Elf, what I did is Jim and I like a little batch that have a little heat, I should say. So what I did to the Elf is I added an extra 1.5 ounces of black pepper, and also I added 2 ounces of crushed red pepper flakes, and it turned out phenomenal. It has just enough heat that you have that flavor in your mouth, but it's not, oh my God, it's so hot, I need to chug down a gallon of milk. So that's a pretty safe bet with that seasoning. So, before we finish up here, hit that like, hit that subscribe, come check us out on Facebook, go to our channel. This is going to be on there. We're going to have step-by-step directions. Go to our website. The seasoning's all on there. Again, step-by-step directions so you guys can make this at home. So we're going to finish letting these dry. We're going to package these up and we're going to enjoy tasting the tradition.